right. Let's have some fun. Diving deep. What an incredible time that we're in right now. Break this moment. Come on. Open the body deep into consciously and intentionally reprogramming your subconscious as it is creating an entire some exciting conversations with clients and friends around this topic. And going to dive into it today and have a little bit of fun. This is a Q&A, so if anybody has any questions, you're absolutely welcome to ask. There is no judgment in here whatsoever. This is about being curious and really looking at what we're thinking, believing, saying, and I think more importantly, reacting to as we move through this incredible dream that we call our lives. And hey, brother, great to see you. Barrett's here, Sarah's here. Oh, what a wonderful thing to wake up to. Here to ask loads of questions. Brother, you know me, I know nothing. Hey, Rob's great to see you. Thank you so much. So this morning I woke up super early, as I usually do. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 a.m. And what I usually do is I start doing some deep breathing, loving on every cell in my body, smiling, and just really getting to the point of clarity where I'm not thinking and asking a bunch of questions, not wanting and desiring a bunch of things. I do set my intention. However, one of the most important things that I've been sharing with clients and friends is this topic of permanent subconscious reprogramming. And the reason why, whoops, these are coming in backwards. Isn't that interesting? Okay, there it is. Little bug here. So the best way to explain this is we come into this dream and we end up taking on a belief system. This belief system comes from our parents, our grandparents, the school system, the media, religion, science, whatever. And so in order to feel safe, we just kind of go along with the crowd because in the beginning, we don't know any better. We're like, okay, well, if they say that's the way it is, and that's the way it is. And interestingly enough, most people are walking around with a very tiny and limiting belief system. Now, before anybody gets triggered, I know there's a lot of awakened people here. Let me explain. I'm talking about a starting point for the majority of the population. They get a belief system, which I talk about, which in reality, if you're willing to be honest, it's a little tiny prison. Our beliefs wouldn't even fit on the head of a pin compared to everything that's out there in the vast, unlimited, keyword, unlimited universe. It wouldn't even fit on the head of a pin. We're still in nursery school. Even if we're awake and we understand that our thoughts are creating our reality and our vibration is key and our imagination is key, that's great. But let's go deeper because I play with these tools every single day and I have been for going on 24 years. And I still realize that I'm running programs. Everything is a program. Every opinion, every judgment. This stuff keeps us looping in 3D. even if we're expanding a little bit, little by little by little, I'm interested in sharing the tools for accelerated expansion of our consciousness, because it's really the only game in town. Understanding that one of my mantras that I share with people that is really key, that opened up so much more for me, is a 3-word mantra. And that mantra is, I know nothing. It doesn't mean that I don't know that our reality is created with our thoughts, our imagination, our words, our beliefs, and our vibration. But what it does is, when I remind myself of that, I remind myself that the beliefs that I've taken on from the external world are very, very limiting. And so I practice every day getting really curious, getting playful. And I do this thing called alternate perspectives. And the easiest way that I can explain it is, I'll have an opinion, or I'll observe something, or I'll have an automatic, like, I like that, I don't like that, that's bad, that's good, I love that, those people are evil, whatever it is. They just come in. And so I practice now feeling every single one of my thoughts. And this is really, really key, because if you don't practice feeling the frequency, your ego will justify everything that it's doing. Because the ego is running a survival program. It just is. It's built in. Now you can shift that, but there's still at the core, there is this survival program that's been running for thousands of years. And it helps us in a lot of cases. But in today's world, we really don't need it that much. So it's really about operating from the heart. So when I talk about using the process of practicing an alternate perspective, that means that I'm zooming out to, every time I have a thought, I'm practicing looking at that and going, wow, that's my initial thought, opinion, judgment, assimilation of whatever, wherever I am in the present moment. However, what's another perspective that could be completely different than what I just thought, which was kind of one of my automatics? No matter how awake or asleep or whatever we are, it's really kind of difficult to judge what level you're on, because the ego, here's the interesting thing. Most people that claim to be awake, what does that mean? There's so many different levels. It's endless. But what I see for the most part is people that claim to be awake base that on the fact that I can see that we've been lied to about everything, from our government to the school system to religion to big pharma to the medical. It's all been inverted. I'm awake. Okay, that's nursery school awake. That's a great start. And I'm not knocking it, and I'm not judging anybody. I'm here to uplift and inspire, and to invite us together to go deeper. So when we begin to use these tools, we begin to track the frequency of our automatics. And the thing that keeps most people stuck in 3D is limiting beliefs, judgments, which are the biggest addiction on the planet, automatic reactions that don't come from love, joy, gratitude, compassion, or excitement, low vibrational automatics, reactive automatics, survival automatics that we're not even aware of. They're just running, and they've been looping for decades. And any uncleared wounds or trauma. So the number one key to really awakening and freeing ourselves is to look at these things. Do I still have any limiting beliefs? Do I have any limiting beliefs around money? Do I have any limiting beliefs around my ability to manifest? from an unlimited mindset? Am I still holding any wounds or trauma? Most people are. I'm still clearing stuff. I still have stuff coming up. There's lots of stuff coming up right now, which is really great, although it can feel kind of crappy when it comes up. A big one for me lately has been anger. Not with other people, but around the fact that those that have been manipulating us for thousands of years are going all out to try and hijack and poison our DNA, poison our air, poison the frequencies in the air, our food, our water. Okay, yeah, that sucks. But check it out. We would not have come here unless we knew that we were going to win and rise above this and create these newer timelines. So that's pretty magnificent. That's pretty badass. I would give yourself a big high five. So, who here is interested in raising their conscious awareness? Do you have any questions around how to do that? Yeah, brother, we are all one. We're all connected. And this is a big piece of it, because understanding that everyone is our mirror and that every single person that we see is us. When I was studying with one of my mentors in 2001, a man named Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote The Four Agreements, The Mastery of Love, I remember him telling me, he said, Jeff, everyone is you. I was like, what? That's interesting. I know that you've done a lot of deep work, but everyone's me? You mean even the people that are harming and killing and the pedophiles? And so this is deep, and this is really important to look at, because otherwise we end up having these automatic judgments, triggers, and reactions because we just do, based on our programming and our survival mechanism. So what I'm inviting people to do, including myself, is to go deeper. How deep are you willing to go to look at your internal programming? Do you have any wounds or trauma? Are you willing to admit it? Because unless you can see it and you're willing to embrace it, it's going to be very difficult to clear it. Most people don't want to admit that they have anything to heal because it makes them feel less than or crappy. And we're already dealing with enough stuff here, just navigating through the craziness that's happening as part of our awakening journeys and as part of us reprogramming and recreating our reality and our frequency to move into these higher timelines. And they're already available. There's a timeline split. Everybody's heard about this now. And it's accelerating. There's going to be a point where certain people are no longer going to be coming along on the higher timeline of the new earth frequencies, where we won't have to pay to live on the planet. There will be no disease. There will be no aging of the body. There will be no separation. There just won't be problems. It'll be awareness and joy and frequencies of the heart. And then there's going to be other people that still want to be led by the government and trust in that type of stuff and not really paying attention. And that's their journey. It's all connected. Everybody's going to get there because we're already there in a way. It's just a journey of frequencies and remembering and being curious and playing. However, the only way that I've found to move into higher levels of vibration is by studying what's going on in here. And that's why I love playing with the topic of conscious awareness, because to me, it's really the only game in town. It is what is creating our reality. So what does it take to begin to catch the judgments, the triggers, the opinions, the automatic reactions that don't come from love, joy, compassion, excitement, gratitude? What is it? What does it take? It takes being 100% honest with ourselves and being willing to stop anytime we have a judgment, anytime we have a reaction to the external that does not come from love, and ask, what is this trying to teach me or show me about me? It's always about me. It's not about the other people out there. Unless somebody's physically assaulting you or abusing you in the moment, get out of that situation. I'm talking about creating reality. What are the tools? Because in my world, there's nothing more important than showing up in love and being in service to the collective. Every day, I ask when I awaken, after I give gratitude to my body and to the Creator, I say, how can I serve the collective today? And it's not because I'm so great. It's just that I figured out that that's what brings me the most joy. That is my greatest contribution to the frequency of what I'm holding, which affects the collective. And these are things that I focus on all day long. If I have a less than thought, if I have a lack thought, I feel it and I stop immediately and I go, okay, there's a program that is not reflecting my unlimited abilities as a divine sovereign creator. Is this resonating? Does anybody have any questions about the process of inner healing, dismantling limiting beliefs, consciously and intentionally creating your reality without limitations? Because really, there's so many distractions nowadays. You can get on Facebook, you can get on Instagram, anything, and just scroll for that feel-good thing, the next hit, the next post. And that's all good if it's raising your frequency. It can also be a distraction. And I'm looking at that as well, because I spend a lot of time connecting with people all over the globe, and I love it. And however, I pay attention to the best of my ability to where I'm putting my energy and my frequency and my thoughts and my focus. So, any questions? Anything coming up for anybody around programming, deprogramming? Is this of interest to anybody else or just me? I know there's people out there because I've done 2 lives this week where people were just like very, very tuned in, asking a lot of questions. And I'm going to post a link in here. This is Sunday's live stream masterclass replay. And I dare say that watching this free replay and setting aside 1 hour and 11 minutes of your time is probably worth more than any 4 or 6 year college where anybody pays over $100,000 to be taught what to think and to get into the club, to give up 65 years of their life. And I'm not saying that if you went to college, it's a bad thing. If you're doing what you love and you're contributing positively to the upliftment of humanity, that's great. It's amazing. But this masterclass is packed with tools and the instructions of how to do it from the Waking Up in the Dream process in the online course. If that's of interest to you, copy that link and go check it out when you have time. All right, so I just wanted to come on and share the alternate perspective piece. A lot of people aren't going to catch that yet. It's like you really have to be putting yourself under a microscope. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that yet. For me, it's the only way out. Because if you can't see a program that's running, you're not going to be able to dismantle it. If you're not willing to admit that you're still holding fear or lack or anger or lack of forgiveness towards somebody, you're not going to be able to clear it. And guess what? That means that you're going to be holding that frequency within you. And since we are magnetic beings, that means that what we're going to attract into our reality is more of the frequency that we're holding within us. So if we're judging a lot, we're going to see more judgment. If we're angry a lot, we may attract people like that. If we're feeling like we're in lack, we may see more lack mirrored back to us in our reality, or it may be more difficult to manifest that which we desire. Because in the subconscious, there's still a piece or a story that says, money's hard, there's not enough, only the rich people are lucky. Those are all lies. And you must be able to feel it in your body when it happens. Instead of just distracting yourself, you stop and you go, okay, here's a limiting belief or program. Here's something that is not reflecting my unlimited divinity. And unless I'm going to stop and figure out what it is or dismantle it and do the subconscious reprogramming, it's going to continue to run because it's been looping for decades, usually. So the average person is running 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day from the time they awaken in the morning. And studies show that 80% of those 50 to 80,000 thoughts are negative. We're not even aware of some of the stuff that's running underneath the surface. And this is why these tools are so important. So, any questions around anything I've shared? I show 5 people on here. The first person to ask a question always opens it up for everybody else. Is anybody willing to ask a question? Is anybody curious about anything I've shared? What about this? What about that? Doesn't mean I have the answer. I am inviting people to go deeper and uncover the answers within yourselves. Because until we're doing this automatically, you can't say that, you're 100% cleared and 100% awake and, you're guaranteed to move into a higher timeline. We're constantly moving through timelines. We're happy, so we're in a higher timeline. Then we get triggered or we go into judgment, so we drop back down. It's a roller coaster ride, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's practice. It's practice. Practice in being curious. Being curious and being excited. Excitement is a very high frequency. So these are the tools that I love sharing. This is what I play with every day. Hi, Rose. Nice to see you. Have come out of a heavy grief period. Okay, cool. Well, good. I'm glad you're coming out of it. I understand it. We all go through it. And what I always ask is, what is the gift that came out of this? And then, how do I know if I've cleared something? Because I journey with a lot of clients, and we've all been through trauma. Just coming in to this reality and lowering our frequency into this human body is highly traumatic. Being born, especially if you were born in a hospital, and it's a Rockefeller hospital. I was pulled out with big metal clamps that were wrapped around my head. That's how they pulled me out. That's how I was awakened into the world. And then I got circumcised, which is one of the most traumatic things that can ever be done to a boy. They say that the brain never goes back, and they do that on purpose. Then the next thing is they clamp the umbilical cord right away, where you're supposed to leave it connected for another 8 or 10 hours or something, because it's still downloading information. Then they sell the placenta for $50,000 to $75,000. It's diabolical. Anyway, I'm talking about clearing trauma. So the majority of people that I deal with, we've all had it. So people say things like, my father was an alcoholic, or he raped me, or my mother was abusive, or my ex was abusive, or whatever. So how do we know if we've cleared this, if we've truly forgiven somebody and we've cleared that wound or that frequency? I know one way, and that is forgiveness. Because we all chose and agreed to soul contracts before we came here. So we chose our parents, we chose what was going to happen to us, even though the majority of people, and I myself claimed for probably 20 or 30 years, there's no way I would have ever chosen this amount of pain and suffering to go through in this life. There were times when I was suicidal in my late 20s and 30s. I was just like, there has to be more to this life than pain and suffering. And luckily I hung in there. You know, there were times when I had a gun to my head and I was ready to check out. I was like, I don't care. I'm not interested anymore. And the only reason I didn't check out is because I didn't want to hurt the people that loved me, my mom and my sisters and friends. So how do we know? Because we've all had people come into our reality as part of our soul contract. And how do we know if we've forgiven somebody? Somebody that stole money from us, somebody that stole our boyfriend, somebody that beat us up, somebody that said harmful things to us that really hurt us. How do we know? How do we know if we've forgiven somebody? Ask yourself right now. Here's a good little exercise to play with. Keyword play, not intense, play. I just forgot what I was going to say because I'm watching a lot of things here. I got questions coming in and other things. Well, thank you so much for that reflection. That went right into my heart. I come on to do these and I never know if anybody's going to be interested or, I get together, I create a title, I get ready to do it. And then I get ready to hit go live. And I'm like, do I really have anything to say? Is anybody really going to care? But I know from doing these over the years and taking people through the waking up in the dream process that it's powerful. It's life-changingly powerful. So ask yourself in this moment, if you'd like to, you don't have to, but do I have anyone left to forgive? It'll come up automatically. It's real easy. You don't really even have to hunt for it. And if it doesn't come up right now and it comes up later, you can just go, oh, I forgot about that. Okay. And then you can apply the same process. So it was part of your soul contract, whether you want to believe it or not. But I'll tell you what, if you're open to that possibility, for me, it's a fact. That is your get out of hell free card. Because if it was part of your chosen soul contract to either clear something for yourself from your past lives, your family's lineage, or for the collective, then what a blessing that it's coming up. Okay, Rihanna, define forgiveness. Well, my definition of forgiveness would be not holding anything against anyone for anything that I believe that they've done to me in my past. Holding any negative story, wound, or feelings about somebody that perfectly played their role as part of my soul contract. So, if we're talking about anyone left to forgive, how do we know if we've forgiven somebody if they pop up into our field? Yeah, you're welcome. I'm intending that resonated with you. Doing my best here. So let's say somebody had an alcoholic father or an abusive mother or an abusive husband or boyfriend, or they got raped, or their boyfriend used to beat them and lock them in the basement and chain them up. I know people that this happened to. So how do we know when we've forgiven somebody? How do we truly know? Because I've heard people say, I'll forgive them, but I'll never forget. Well, that just means what they're really saying is, I haven't forgiven you. Because you can't say, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. That means I'm still angry and I'm never going to forget. That's not forgiving. You're tricking yourself. It's false. So how do you know when you've forgiven somebody? When you can thank them for perfectly playing their role as part of your soul's contract. Now, I'm not saying if your father raped you or something to say thank you, but if you really want to get down to it and clear it and heal it, it was a soul contract. I'm not judging anybody. I am a lover and supporter of anyone that's willing to show up and be authentic and be honest. I'll get on a call with anybody and shed tears. And I usually have tears coming first, because if I'm working with a client on the first call and we're talking about clearing things, normally you can tell when they're getting ready to cry, but they want to hold back because they're taught that it's shameful to cry. Crying is one of the most healing things that one will ever do. Being a victim is not, that's different. But actually letting it go and really allowing yourself to feel, or to tune into anger. I'll get on calls with clients and I invite them to scream or to go out into the wilderness somewhere and scream their freaking head off if that's what they're holding inside, because this stuff has to come out. It needs to be cleared. But we don't go out and we scream at other people, because that's toxic and that's harming others. Makes sense? So anybody have any questions around forgiveness? Anybody have any questions around identifying and dismantling limiting beliefs? Anybody have any questions around reprogramming your subconscious? Because the subconscious is what's creating our entire reality. So you can do positive affirmations all day. And if your subconscious still believes money is hard or difficult, or I'm still not worthy, I'm still not good enough for an incredible loving partner, I've still got things to heal. No matter if you do EFT tapping, I'm so lovable, money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I did all that stuff. It never worked, ever, until I went within and went, oh, wow, I'm still actually believing that money's difficult. I'm still actually believing that I'm not worthy. I'm still feeling some guilt and shame for some stupid things I did in the past when I was younger. I'm feeling silly because I got angry yesterday and I cussed out my computer because Gaggle, which is what I call Google, were lying. And I asked a simple question and all the sponsored ads came up and lied. All these companies or these news agencies that claim that are all on the mainstream media, they all lie and invert everything. And I couldn't find one honest answer to a simple question. It was all inverted. And I know you never put any trust in the top 5 or 10 results that come up. And I use Brave and I use other search engines, but I just happen to have Gaggle open. And yeah, I yelled at it. I cussed it out. And then I felt silly, but I'm human. Okay? I'm human, but I can feel it. The minute I have a judgment or a trigger or an opinion, they're all running on automatic. And I'm telling you, we've got to dismantle those. And that's what I do. And that's what this process is about. And it works. And it works faster than anything else I've ever found. And that's why I teach this stuff. And I have people just go, wow, I thought I was awake. And I started going through the book and using the daily tracking sheet every day. Super simple. Super simple. Even teenagers can do it. And I started seeing programs coming up that I've been running for decades. And that's why it's so powerful. And here's the key. Here's why people that are willing to look at their stuff are my heroes. Because if you're willing to put yourself under a microscope, then you're going to heal and you're going to clear these limiting programs. But you're not going to unless you're willing to be 100% honest and you're willing to put yourself under a microscope, so to speak. It's the warrior's journey. There's no shame at all. Hey, John, great to see you, brother. I'm happy to hear that. You rock too, brother. Great to see you. I'm glad if anything resonates, even one little piece that I'm sharing. I'm just talking to myself to remind myself. If anybody else benefits, then great. I'm just reminding myself of the process every day, every day, every day. So any questions around identifying limiting beliefs, subconscious reprogramming, manifestation, inner healing, forgiveness, moving into higher timelines, focusing on healing your body? Any questions at all? If not, I'm gonna end this. I'll stay on for another minute or two. But if you've had a question about anything that I've shared, awesome, brother. Johnny's been hanging in there for a long time, sending a lot of love. He's on dialysis, 6 to 10 miles a day. Way to go, brother. I'm walking 4.5 every day with 12 wild jungle dogs that live in the woods. And they come running down to meet me every day. And I know you got your doggies too, so it's awesome. Grateful, so glad to hear that. Okay, any questions at all? Come on, somebody's got a question. The first person that asks a question, then everybody goes, oh, it's okay, it's safe to ask a question. It always happens, but it takes one person to ask a question. So anyway, this was the topic, permanent subconscious reprogramming. Does that make sense to people? Do you understand what that is and why it's so important and why it's the whole ball of wax? If you don't understand it, just say, could you explain it further? Or, yeah, we get it. Or we're way ahead of you. We've been waiting for you to catch up, Jeff. We're so glad you're finally getting it. God bless you. Okay. Okay. The biggest addiction on the planet is judgment, in my humble opinion. Yeah, absolutely. The biggest addiction on the planet is judgment. Self-judgment, judgment of others. I used to be a judgeaholic. I was taught to be a judgeaholic in private Catholic schools where the nuns were angry and pissed off every day. And I was placed in these Catholic schools as part of my soul contract, all perfect. And this is how I was able to see the programming of the church, because the nuns were angry and they were pissed off every day. I was 7 years young, and every day was Judgment Day. Every day. Judgment versus being judgmental. I'm not sure what you mean. To me, all judgments are low frequency. So this brings up something that may resonate. There's a huge frequency difference between a judgment and an observation. An observation is neutral. A judgment has sticky, egoic energy to it. Yeah. Yep. Does that make sense? So, yeah. So observing. So this is why I speak about, in the waking up in the dream process, becoming a conscious observer is completely life-changing. many people. I was going to say the majority of people, but I'm very careful about observing my words, because if my words are creating my reality, then what if I said the majority of people are automatic reactors? Well, if I'm consciously creating my reality and moving through timeline after timeline after timeline, because supposedly the timelines are shifting 100 or thousands of times a second, but everything's slowed down here. So the reason it's so important to pay attention to your words and your thoughts is because they've been running on automatic so much. So I was going to say the majority of people are automatic reactors. They automatically judge, they get triggered, they project. No, so I'm going to say some people are still automatic reactors. The key is to become a conscious observer. And here's a wonderful mantra that I would write down. It's only 3 words. This will stop the judgments, and all it takes is a little bit of practice. So, anytime you see something that you may have labeled as bad or evil, like the pedos or the JAB or the poisoning of the food, air, and water, what I train myself to do is, instead of judging it, because I used to go, those people need to be hung or executed. I still feel that sometimes about these people that are harming the children, that are intentionally killing people, intentionally, that are doing these satanic rituals, and they think that they have the right to enslave us and feed off of us and kill us. Yeah, not cool. But now what I do to keep my frequency high, I use this 3-word mantra. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting is 100% neutral. I would write this one down. I would memorize it. Your ego might go, I'll remember that, but it probably won't if you don't write it down and put it into practice, because there's other judgments that have been running for so long, and they're attached to emotional responses or triggers. So this is why when people have a judgment, they are tricked into believing that they are right. I'm right. That's wrong. Doesn't mean they're right. It means that they're emotionally triggered, and they have an emotional response in their body, the trigger, that tricks them into believing that they're right. Because that feeling, that their stomach goes into a knot, or they get angry, so they feel justified. This is why if anybody has a tiny little belief system and you attempt to invite them to look at a different perspective about somebody or something, no, he's evil, Trump's bad, you see, there's no open-mindedness whatsoever, because they're so attached to that belief, because they've rehearsed it and they've got an emotional trigger to it, to where that overrides an open mind of going, I know nothing. That's another 3-word mantra to write down. I know nothing. It doesn't mean that we're ignorant or that we don't really know anything. I know that love is the answer. I know that a high frequency is important to moving into higher timelines. I know that we are unlimited, completely unlimited. So if you have any limiting thoughts about manifestation, about attracting money, here's a big one. How many people play with or believe that you can reverse your aging? I don't know hardly anybody that plays with this. I play with it every single morning, not because I'm so great and because I'm so smart, because I know that any thought is a reality. I know people used to live for thousands of years. I know that people used to be able to stay on the planet as long as they desired to, because Their cellular structure and their DNA was not hijacked. They were not getting poisoned by the food, air, and water or their negative thoughts. And so I play with every morning, first thing when I awaken out of what we call the sleeping dream, which may be reversed, by the way. I may be in the sleeping dream right now, and I'm awake when I go to bed. I don't know. Did you ever think about that? Isn't that interesting? I take everything and look at it from multiple perspectives to the best of my ability. And that is what's responsible for my ability to see programs and limiting things that the majority of people were just taught and they just accept without questioning. I question everything, including my longest held beliefs. Everything is up for questioning over and over and over and over and over. And that, from what I've found, is the only way out. That and operating from the heart. Let me see what my friend says here. Isn't that interesting? Vulcan logic. I love that. Yeah, it's about staying detached. Okay, I love your share. I'm going to invite you to look at one thing in that share in the second sentence that you just told your subconscious. Pay attention to this, people, and thank my dear friend here for coming on and sharing this, because this is huge. I will work on this, but I admit it won't be easy. Isn't that interesting? Why would somebody tell their subconscious that it won't be easy? In other words, they're basically telling their subconscious, they're giving it the instruction that it's going to be difficult. I'm not singling you out, dear one. This is a big one, and I'm really grateful for you sharing this. The pain I feel from the injection. Yeah, me too. Yep, got to feel everything. And the evil is serving a purpose. Yeah, thank you for this share. But watch that one part where you say it won't be easy. Because your subconscious is going to go, okay, your wish is my command. Let's make it challenging and difficult. Because you're unlimited, so we can make it challenging and difficult if that's what you'd like to experience. I love you, and thank you for sharing that for everybody. That was great share. So yes, okay, so these people, Gates, Fauci, Klaus Schwab, the people above them in the secret societies, we send them love. We blast them with love. We blast them with love. We blast them with love. Why? Because we cannot be holding the frequency of hatred or judgment or negativity towards anybody and move into the higher New Earth timeline. Those frequencies cannot bypass the Golden Gate to go into that. Unfortunately, for the first time in history, supposedly, because I know nothing, we are able to move into these higher vibrational timelines while still being in this human body. Supposedly, this has never been done before. It's an amazing time to be heavily excited, but also to really pay attention to the programs that we're running in the automatics. So for me, I print out this sheet over and over and over, even though I've been playing with it for 11 years now and taking people through it. Because what it has me do is it reminds me throughout the day. Did you consciously and intentionally create your reality first thing this morning before those 50 to 80,000 thoughts started running? I got to get up. I got to put on a pot of coffee. I get the kids ready for school. I got to check my email. Oh, I've got an appointment at 11 and 12:30. Oh, I got to feed the dog. All that stuff's going to get done, but those are all automatics. I take at least a half hour first thing every morning. As soon as I awaken, while my head's still on the pillow, I love on every cell in my body because they're consciously aware. I program them. I thank them for unconditionally loving me since I came out of the womb. After all the stuff I've done, drugs, alcohol, motorcycle accidents, shame and guilt that I've poured on myself, on and on and on. And I just love on them, and they're consciously aware and they're listening. So that raises my frequency, and I smile. And then I create my day. And I create it claiming that anything I desire is already here now, never in the future. I never use the spell words want, wish, hope, try, need, should, going to. Those all give the subconscious one clear instruction. And that instruction is the desire is still not here yet. With the subconscious, in order to program it, you must give it the exact instruction. The desire is either already here now, right now, or it's not. This is super key. If you're not already doing this, I would come back and watch this at 50 minutes, and I would take notes. Because until these become your new automatics, they're not. And your current automatics are going to run the show. Great question. Thank you for asking. What about I attract? I would say you could use that. I say I have, or I have attracted. Or I say something like, I'm so grateful that every day I attracted exactly what I desired, and it just kept escalating day after day after day. So what I'm doing is I'm programming my subconscious that it's already happened. Now, somebody may ask a question like, well, what about if I've got a 6-month or a 1-year plan or a 3-year plan for my business or whatever? Great question. I would say always envision the outcome is already here now. Oh, I've got my new business, or I've got my new clients, or I'm healed, I'm healthy, I'm disease-free. Abundance just flows in and out of my reality freely because I am abundance. Money is just a reflection that was made up in this illusion, but it's a reflection of my own level of belief in my frequency of whether or not I'm actually holding abundance, or if I'm trying or hoping or wishing. You can feel all those frequencies. They're very sticky. They're low frequency. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's so great is to notice it and go, oh, I'm still holding a little bit of a low frequency. I'm still holding a little bit of fear around money. Or I know that I'm abundant, yet I still haven't created that, automatic flow. That's okay. It happens. So one of the greatest other questions you can ask and mantra that you can do, besides, I know nothing, isn't that interesting? This one is 5 words. It's, what is the gift here? In other words, as I say in the book, whenever we have a trigger, a less than thought, a fear, a doubt, an automatic reaction that doesn't come from love, joy, gratitude, kindness, compassion, or excitement, we ask, what is the gift here? The other way to ask that is, what is this trying to show me or teach me about me? So everybody that shows up in your reality, we either like them or love them, or we don't like them. It's the ones that we decide that we don't like that are usually bringing us the biggest gift, the ones that trigger us into a judgment or a negative reaction. Those are the people to thank. Isn't that interesting? Because if we have a negative reaction to them, guess what? We're magnetizing more of people like that to show up in our reality because we still didn't get it and learn the lesson that, oh, I'm still able to be triggered by other people. Isn't that interesting? I'm still giving my focus away to Fauci or Gates or all these other people. And this is a deep one too, because for the past 20 plus years, I've shared things that people called me crazy about. I was exposing pedos 25 years ago because I grew up in the Catholic Church, which actually worships Satan. There's pictures on the web of the Vatican. You can see the room. All the symbols on the Pope's frickin' thing, and it's all inverted, all of it. If that triggers you, don't shoot the messenger. Do your research. Part of my soul contract was to be placed in private Catholic schools, and I was an altar boy until 9th grade. So I could see the programming. Doesn't mean that the creator is bad. The creator is love, because that's all that exists. But it's been inverted for people to give away their power to something outside themselves. If I just donate, maybe God will throw me a bone. That was part of my soul contract. So not to bag on religion here, if that triggers you. It's just, this is about looking at programs. This is about soul contracts. And I was placed in that situation as part of my soul contract so I could see the programming. Everything that happened to me was part of my soul contract. And then when you ask, what is the gift here? Even if you get pissed off, I'm fucking pissed. Okay, I'm triggered. What is the gift here? So I don't have to relive this and experience it again and again and again. What is this trying to show me or teach me about me? It's not about the person that triggered me, even though the ego will always attempt to project until it's trained and you get it to switch shoulders to come over here and now be your ally. And you train it to go, oh, I know there's a gift here. I just got triggered, but I know there's a gift here. And if I don't get it, I'm going to have to relive it. This is your get out of hell free card. What is the gift here? Isn't that interesting? What is this trying to show me or teach me about me? This is 100% ownership of everything that's showing up in our reality. This is the way out into higher timelines. This is the way to heal. This is the way to clear wounds and trauma. That's why I asked, do you have anyone left to forgive? Because normally when somebody comes and does a journey with me, we'll talk about on the very first call, what happened to you? Well, my mom or dad did this to me, or my boyfriend did it. Okay. Do you realize that that was part of your soul contract? What? Are you open to the possibility that you chose that as part of your soul contract and your experience here this time, so you could clear it and heal it for yourself or your family lineage or the collective? Oh, isn't that an interesting concept? So if you're open to that, the only thing left to do is to forgive everybody that perfectly played their role as part of your soul contract. Is this making sense? Yeah. Ho'oponopono is wonderful because it accepts accountability. So here's how I run Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you, thank you. And then I flip-flop it. I go, I'm sorry, I forgive myself. I love myself, thank you. And I run it both ways so I cover everything. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, I forgive myself. I love myself. Thank you. Good one. Thanks, Rihanna. Anybody have any questions? Anything come up about anything I've shared about forgiveness? Identifying limiting beliefs, wounds, triggers, eliminating judgments, less than thoughts, automatic programs. This is mastery here. We're going right to it. We're not dancing around it. We're not trying to distract ourselves. Any questions? We're at 1 hour, so if anybody has any questions, pop them in. If not, I'm going to begin to wrap this up. And if anybody is interested in the book or the course or sessions or mentorship, here's a link. The book's half price right now. So is the online course, which comes with about 3 to 4 hours of videos that I put together that I narrate, and they have images and words. So we've got voice, imagery, and words because people learn differently. They show you exactly what the ego's doing, why it runs its program, and you can see it and go, oh. And once that aha moment happens, you'll never be able to unsee it again. And then you use the tools in the tracking sheet and you keep track. And you stop every time you have a judgment, a trigger, a less than thought, a fear, and you go through the process. It's very quick. And you can start to undo decades and decades and decades of programming in days and weeks. And you'll use these tools for the rest of your life. I have people that are 6, 7, 8 decades young. Never use the word OLD. It's a total program for your subconscious. It instructs your cells to get OLD. Why do you think they created the yearly birthday? There's only one birthday. That's the day that you're born in the womb. You may think it's cool to celebrate a birthday. That's your choice. But never tell other people or your subconscious how OLD you are, because they're listening. It's a program. It's an inversion. You may think this is anal, but your subconscious doesn't think it's anal. It only takes direct instructions. And when you keep telling people how OLD you are, your subconscious is listening. So if anybody asks me my AGE, I just say, I'm whatever years young. And they go, young? I go, yeah. I don't do the OLD inverted program. And when you start to use these tools, you'll begin to uncover these inverted programs left and right. And you'll be going, oh, wow, isn't that interesting? That's how they keep everybody stuck recycling in the lower frequency 3D matrix. But the gig is up. And the frequencies that are coming into the planet right now from the sun and everything else, we're getting upgraded. And as I said earlier, for the first time, we are able to move into higher frequency timelines and dimensions while still being in this body. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that something to be excited about? So I want to thank everybody. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love Bob Proctor. I love every person. I've studied so many different, everybody's my teacher. Even those that trigger me, they're some of my greatest teachers. So thank you for that. And thank you for staying on for this transmission. Yeah. So anyway, my YouTube channel, where I've got about 300 hours of these transmissions. And you might think, well, I can't get through 300 hours. The good thing is I just go over and over and over the same tools over and over and over, because they're the tools. There's 3 parts to the tools. Inner healing, because you got to do it. Dismantling limiting beliefs. And then understanding how to consciously and intentionally create your preferred reality every day. Do it as soon as you awaken. Do it throughout the day. I have my clients set 12 alarms on their phone the first couple weeks of going through the process with me. They go off every hour. They might not catch every alarm, and you can put it on vibrate or silent, but when you go to check your phone, you'll have a little message there that goes, psst, where are you right now? Are you in the future? Are you in the past? Are you in gratitude? Are you using the tools? And it starts to undo and reprogram that stuff so quickly. Do this for 30 days, you'll do it for the rest of your life. You might forget and fall back and go, okay, I don't need to use a tracking sheet anymore. And then things might start going south again a little bit. And then you'll go, oh. People reach out to me once in a while and go, yeah, things kind of started to go downhill. And I'll ask them one simple question. When did you stop using the tracking sheet and the tools? And they'll go, yeah, I need to get back on that. And we'll have a little chuckle. And then they'll get back on it and everything will start escalating into wonderfulness again. Doesn't mean nothing's ever going to happen that you don't like or love or that doesn't trigger you, but you'll be able to clear it and notice it really, really quickly. And you'll just stop looping in that low frequency stuff. It's really, really life-changing. So anyway, thanks everybody for staying on. If you feel that anybody would benefit from this, please share it, because I don't know anybody that wouldn't benefit from this. These are the tools, and we're doing this together. If you have any questions or you'd like to, I offer free calls to people that are interested in doing a mentorship. And there's no, I don't try and sell anybody. It's a free 30-minute call. I'm very specific about the questions, and you'll leave with something of value. And if you decide you'd like to go through a 30 or 60-day journey, then I'll explain it to you. I'm not going to talk you into it, because I'm not interested in selling anybody or trying to pull anybody uphill. It's for those that go, I'm ready, I'm here to lead, I've got gifts to share, and I know that there's millions of people that are going to need some real serious support in the coming weeks and months when they realize that they've been lied to about everything. And they're going to need some real compassionate supporters that understand these tools and how to guide other people through the process. And this is why we're here. So if anybody is ready to lead and resonates with what I've been sharing, come and have a chat. Let's do it. Let's create something, or, I'll help you move through whatever it is that you'd like to move through. And I have the highest respect and honor for anybody that's willing to put themselves under a microscope very gently, because that's what it takes. And these are the tools. So big love from Thailand. And thank you for being here and sharing your gifts and being willing to be honest with yourself and authentic and look within, because that's where it is, Hey, Sarah, great to see you. You're very welcome. I'm glad that it resonates. Thank you for being here, because I know if it's resonating, then you're embodying these tools and holding that frequency and sharing your gifts with other people. So thank you for that. And I appreciate you too, dear one. Thank you so much for staying on. And if you feel like anybody would benefit, share it out on your pages. Not everybody's going to be willing yet, but more and more people are waking up and they're going, I'm hungry. How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I stop these automatics or these fears or these limiting thoughts or whatever? And these are the tools. Some of them for sure. And they're the fastest ones I've ever found, which is why I put the process together. So big love to everybody. Have an incredible weekend. It's my Friday here in Thailand. I'm in the future a little bit from some people, but not everybody. And big love. Stay excited. And I look forward to seeing you out in the field. Big love.